Hey, so I had no idea, but apparently the last episode of Dexter New Blood was dropping at midnight in Australia tonight. Didn't know that, found out at literally 12:09, and I'm like, fuck, I was about to go to sleep, but I guess I'm not now. So I watched the episode, and here I am recording the review, as you can obviously see. But yeah, didn't know it was coming out, and I'm excited as hell to talk about it, so let's get to it. Dexter New Blood, episode 10 is called Sins of the Father, and it is a heavy one. It is so damn good, and be warned, this is going to be full of spoilers, okay? So, let's actually get to it. But just before I do, if you're wondering, yes, I did shave. If you watch any of my previous videos and stuff, I look a bit different. Yeah, you don't need to comment on it, okay? This is what I look like, okay? So, Dexter New Blood, episode 10, opens with Dexter reminiscing on why he moved to Iron Lake to begin with. He goes on about how all of the townsfolk are good folk. They're good people, they're all nice. He names a few people who we've barely seen throughout the series, like for instance, the gun shop owner, who we have not seen since episode 2 or something. Turns out Dexter just has all the money in the world to not worry about going to work or whatever. He just really dropped that job really quickly in this series, which I do find a little bit funny. But yeah, he also names a bunch of other people, but primarily the emphasis is on Logan and how much of a nice guy Logan is, as we see a crowd surrounding Harrison and Dexter as they try and support them following their house burning down at the end of the last episode. And this crowd is led by Logan because he's just such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy that he even gives Harrison a jacket. He gifts him a jacket. Isn't that so nice? I just thought it was a little bit funny because it was like, oh wow, your house burnt down. Here's a jacket. That's going to solve everything. But really, no, they were actually just really nice, and Harrison and Dexter are thanking them and stuff. And yeah, basically the whole point is Logan's a stand-up guy. What a great guy. Anyway, following that, Angela now informs Dexter that his house burning down has been reported as arson. Clearly this was an attack. Somebody actually did this to him on purpose. As we know, because that was Kurt Caldwell. But this just gets Angela that little bit more suspicious, as all of that suspicion has been slowly building up from all the previous episodes. Anyway, a bit later after that, it's here where Dexter suggests that Harrison and he move away from Iron Lake. Somewhere warm, similar to Miami, maybe LA, he suggests. And it's here where it's clear that he wants to go back to his old life. The new blood in Harrison has invigorated his bloodlust, possibly for the worst, worse than ever that we've seen before. Harrison is hesitant about the move at first, as he explains that all of his friends live here, and most importantly Audrey, who he doesn't want to move away from. But he seems to be talked into it by Dexter when he goes on about how they won't be able to save people via killing much more in Iron Lake, because there are only so many bad people in Iron Lake, and there's only so much killing you can do in a small town before you're obviously going to get caught. Plus, they can get a pool, he mentions, so how great. That definitely is going to convince Harrison to move, I guess. The two now discuss brief strategy on how they're going to go about doing what they now know that they both do, which is taking down bad guys together. But, then that conversation ends and they head back to Angela's house because they're not moving just yet. They're going to hold out for a few days or whatever because it's going to look a bit weird if they flee right now. Back at Angela's house, everything seems normal until Angela suggests that Harrison and Audrey fuck off for a bit and pop over to the supermarket for groceries. It's here where Angela takes the opportunity to finally take Dexter down, and she arrests him. And so that final decisive conflicted moment between them is taking place, and she's finally confronting him about everything that has happened. We also see that she had this whole thing planned out when Logan enters from the other room, also waiting and ready to take Dexter down and arrest him, take him to the police station as well. So obviously she's, told Logan a little bit about what's been happening as well, and so he knows a little bit about all of the ongoings too. Angela now takes Dexter back to the police station for interrogation. Mugshots are taken as we see him with the Dexter Morgan identity, like it says it on his name. And so yeah, again, we see that Logan does know a little bit more about this than we knew. It's here where Angela points out the titanium screw that she'd received at the end of the last episode in that letter, and that letter that said that Jim Lindsay had killed Matt Caldwell. And she questions him on basically everything here, informing him on one of her big theories here where she lines everything up and is basically just spot on. She knows exactly what's going on, and I just really respect that about that character. Dexter then throws back kind of a desperate lie, talking about how Kurt maybe killed Matt and is just framing him for whatever reason and all this kind of stuff. He said it much more convincingly than I just did, but it was still clearly not enough. It was kind of like this nonsensical thing where he's just starting to get a bit desperate, and he's like, yeah, I don't know, Kurt's the bad guy, don't look at me. It's Kurt! But the beauty of this defense, though, is that the police don't know that Kurt has been killed yet since Dexter got rid of the body. So if they head on over to Kurt's, like, murder basement place, they will find all of his victims and stuff, see that he is a killer, and see that Kurt is nowhere to be found. Suggesting that he's just fled. And so that actually does make quite a bit of sense from Dexter's defense if things go according to plan, which I'll get into in a second. Obviously, being a TV show with the dramatization out the wazoo, not everything goes according to plan. Anyway, so before Dexter gets taken to a jail cell, he comforts Harrison by saying he's been in tougher spots and he'll get out of this one too. Which I thought was kind of hilarious, if I'm being honest, because yeah, it's kind of true. Like, the entire previous original series was just full of Dexter in tough spots and bad situations and always just getting out of it just in time and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I can see why he might think that he's kind of invincible to tough spots. That makes a lot of sense to me, actually. Later, Angela calls Angel Batista. He's back! Batista's back! And she informs Batista that they have had similar murders in Iron Lake to those that happened in Miami due to the Bay Harbor Butcher all those years ago. She asks what her impressions of Dokes were at the time, and he says that he thought Dokes was the Bay Harbor Butcher at the time when, like, he got pinned for it. But in retrospect, maybe not. Not everything lined up quite right. One theory that he goes on to explain that was from his ex-wife and boss, LaGuerta, was that Dexter Morgan was the culprit. But that didn't help too much because that he died a long time ago, so it wasn't that much use at this point. But it's here where Angela sends over a photo of her and Jim Lindsay, and basically he's like, oh shit. Angela tells Batista that Dexter is literally in a jail cell right now. She's got him. And it's here where Batista's convinced to step on over and come visit Iron Lake, which never actually happens. This is the only scene we see him in. But it is nice that we finally get to see Batista realize the truth about Dexter. This was one of the most horrendous crimes of season 8 was that Angel Batista never found out the truth about Dexter Morgan. That was just something I could never ever forgive because that's what the entire series had been leaning towards. And so finally, we did get that little moment. Now, they never come face to face, which is a shame, but at least we see that, like, he finally now does actually know the truth. And that's just kind of like, that's pretty great if you ask me. This also has it's rectified things a little bit and given a bit of redemption to LaGuerta as well, who got a pretty shitty, undeserving end when it came to her character at that shocking ending of season 7, which, look, I loved at the time and I was all in it from the perspective of Dexter and Deborah at the time. But, like, character-wise and stuff, LaGuerta deserves so much better. Like, she was just a good person. So, yeah, I do find it kind of like, it's just kind of nice that we now, like, know that some of the people, at least, at Miami Metro and everything, who we knew from the original series, are going to find out the truth and know about Dexter Morgan, which is something that obviously should have happened in the original series. Basically, it's here where I'm seeing that New Blood is just putting all the pieces together. It's just fixing the broken stuff that season 8 committed, you know, all of the bad things. Dexter New Blood is here to kiss it better. And so basically that's what they've done here. Anyway, now Angela pokes through the evidence in front of Dexter, pointing out the use of ketamine that he'd taken, pointing out the jab markings on Jasper and Miles, and all those little details that we'd seen her discover in previous episodes. It's at this point where Dexter's like, oh shit, she's actually smart. Like, he doesn't actually say that, but like we see his face and is like, damn, you know, Angela's actually figured everything out. And I just did find this moment like a little bit funny because it was like, yeah, he's not used to that. He's used to the incompetent police work down at Miami Metro where he could get away with literally anything and everything, like on a whim, with absolutely no effort. He could just do anything. What was I think he mentions that like the crime rate, like 80% of it or some shit goes by unsolved down at Miami Metro in the early seasons. So yeah, it's kind of funny that he's not used to competent police work. But it is also funny, relevant to that this random cop from like small town Iron Lake, Angela, is the one to take Dexter Morgan down after all this time. And also not just take him down for Kurt Caldwell and all that stuff, but she also realizes that he is the Bay Harbor Butcher himself. And in one season, no less, she's figured everything out. Something that an entire staff of police couldn't figure out in 8 full seasons. And I just kind of like that. It makes it it's a little funny, but it also shows the brilliance of Dexter, because he can get away with this stuff. He knows how to play people and everything. And it just took this one trusting, good, smart cop, Angela, to figure things out, because they were a little too trusting, a little too close. And yeah, and she's a smart character. So it just does make sense, to be honest. But it is a bit funny that she did it in one season and no one else could. Dexter's defense to all of this, though, to Angela alone, is that he tells her why everything happened. He explains Kurt killed her friend Ira, or Iris, or whatever her name is. Plus all those women from over the years who had gone missing before the events of the show. It's here where Angela must ask herself, she's conflicted between what's going on here and what's happening there. What's more important to her, justice to all of the victims or justice to Dexter Morgan himself? If she wants proof, she can go back out to Kurt's bunker, which she does. She just takes the bait completely and leaves. As I just said, she is smart, but I guess, she's also desperate to find out the truth and bring justice to all of the people that had gone missing before, who she felt responsible for because of her friend going missing. So that does make sense, but she does just leave in a hurry. And this gives Dexter plenty of time to sort shit out while she's gone. So yeah, while Angela's gone, Dexter lures Logan over to his jail cell and takes him down by smashing his head on the bars and grabbing him from behind. When Logan goes for his gun in self-defense, though, Dexter snaps his neck. Dexter kills Logan. And it's at this point where I'm like, that is not okay. That's not okay. That's indefensible. It's moments like these that prove that Dexter is clearly just a psychopath. He is willing to kill innocent people and technically go against the code, even though one of the rules is that you should never get caught and whatever. But he can basically decide that he wants to kill anybody when it suits him. And I just find that to be like a total discrepancy when it comes to Dexter as a character. It's rare that this does happen, that he kills people who are innocent, but when he is put in a tight situation, he will, and he did here. He kills Logan, and it's just not justifiable at all. Logan was a good man, as Dexter even says himself earlier in this episode. It's like, you just can't defend this. It was the wrong move. It was a bad thing to do. And it's clear that Dexter here is becoming more of a villain than an anti-hero. But then, as Dexter is escaping the police station, he calls Harrison via Logan's phone. And this is the moment that tells me that this is where Harrison is going to draw the line. He already struggled at the brutality of disposing of Kurt's body and cutting it up and stuff. But now that an innocent has been taken down and Dexter has his blood literally all over his head as he escapes the police station, Harrison is absolutely not going to accept this. Dexter has gone off his fucking nut, man. Like, it's just not okay. And yeah, it's at this point where things are getting fucking tense. Angela now, at Kurt's murder bunker, discovers all the bodies after finding out that Molly's dead and all these other people are dead and everything. Obviously horrified, she wants to call backup. So she goes back to the police station and finds Logan's body, and I feel so bad for her at this point because she's already felt guilty for missing women in the past. She's already felt guilty for other things like this. Now she's gonna feel guilty for Logan's death, who did not deserve it. She didn't deserve this either. And for trusting Dexter, Jim Lindsay, to begin with. She's just gonna feel like an idiot, and like, I kind of feel for that character there. It's clear that, like, yeah, she got tricked. And she's a good person, and that just kind of sucks. We see that Logan's body here, though, is covered in blood still. Dexter didn't clean this up at all. And I'm like, dude, you got sloppy there. This is another example of Dexter getting all sloppy and hurrying when he is in a certain situation where he just doesn't have time to clean shit up. And it's like, nah, fuck it, gotta go. Like we saw when he killed his attacker, pursuer guy in the woods in that cabin a few episodes ago, where he smashed through the mirror and just killed the guy. No cleanup there either, because in this New Blood series, Dexter is willing to just go at it. He'll kill somebody, he'll flee, and he's a different beast than he was in the original series. And so after this, he finally meets up with Harrison at their rendezvous point. The final confrontation takes place with Harrison and Dexter. Harrison sees the blood on Dexter and deduces that it must be Logan's, as he called him from Logan's phone, and he asks him, like, is that Logan's? And yeah, he tells him that he had to. He had no choice. No other choice but to kill Logan. As we know, like, that's just not the case. Dexter can, do other things apart from killing people. We know that he has other skills. Maybe he could have found another way out. Or not gotten out at all because, he arguably does deserve to be there. Anyway, the two now argue about Dexter's morality. I thought the whole point of the code was that you only kill bad people, Harrison says to him, and he's so right here, and Dexter pleads that he can stop killing people if he wants. He just needs Harrison's help. And it's here where it's clear that he is just desperate and bullshitting and just like, no man, like, you've crossed the line and there's not really going any back after this. But after this, it's here where Harrison is stepping his foot down. The two are just at odds and the respect and love is still there, but the anger and conflict is something that simply cannot be resolved here. Dexter has truly become the villain now of Dexter New Blood. You know, it's not Kurt. Dexter is the villain. And I find that really fascinating and interesting. And I think that was really the right way to go. I think that's ingenious. And with that, he then announces his own exit. He tells Harrison that he's gonna flee, he's leaving Iron Lake, he doesn't have to come with him, but hey, that's that. He's so beyond morals now that he's willing to abandon Harrison all over again. Like, that kind of broke my heart, where he's like, really? You're just gonna leave now? I know that Harrison is old enough that he probably doesn't absolutely need him, but it's just like, no man. Haven't you learnt your lesson? You can't leave your son again. Not now, you know? And yeah, I found that part to just be really hurtful, to be honest. And I liked that line though, because it's showing just how off of his normal radar that Dexter's going. It's just like, no, normally all you care about is Harrison, and now all you're really caring about is yourself, as you're clearly showing. And I find that true to the character though, because I do think that he's a selfish character. I do think that he thinks he's right all the time, and that he's not, and that the show criticizes him for that. He's an unreliable narrator, as we've seen throughout the entire series, the original series as well. And yeah, like, Dexter is a character that I love and I respect and I find really interesting, but he's also a psychopath, you know? He's also somebody that we shouldn't completely connect with. And I think that Dexter New Blood really got that element of the character right here. I'm glad that they can still pull that kind of stuff off with this character. It's here though, where Harrison now pulls a gun on him. The rifle that Dexter got him in the last episode, and the two stand facing, discussing what has happened, as Harrison tells him that he just simply can't defend Dexter's actions. We get a series of small flashbacks here to all the innocent people that Dexter killed and indirectly killed throughout the original series. Lundy, Rita, LaGuardia, Dokes, Deborah herself, even though he didn't directly kill them. Arguably, they are all dead because of him. Arguably, they wouldn't be dead if it weren't for him. And so it's just too much, you know? And now Logan himself as well. It's just too much. It's indefensible. And it's clear that Dexter is a problem. Dexter is a problem and brings problems to those that he loves, as we learned throughout the original series as well. Dexter brings a trail of blood his way at all times and puts people in danger at all times because of that lifestyle that he chooses, or maybe doesn't choose but is addicted to. And that's the tragedy of Dexter, and that's the tragedy of Harrison as well, as this is where he came from. What the hell is Harrison gonna do here? It's here where Dexter has finally accepted that he agrees with this notion, that he has put too many lives in danger, that he has gotten too many innocent people killed. Harrison has convinced him that Dexter's way of life cannot continue, that he really, in actuality, fits the code. So he instructs Harrison to shoot him, just like he taught him. And he does. Harrison shoots Dexter dead. Harrison shoots him in the heart. And it's here where Dexter comes to an end. Dexter as a man, Dexter as a character. I guess there's not going to be a second season, unless it focuses on Harrison in the second season, possibly. But here, Dexter has died. Dexter has died. And I'm like, man. I knew it was coming. Like, you know, this whole season, we were expecting it, right? Like, I've been expecting it the whole time. And I thought, yeah, something was going to convince Harrison maybe to go against him, maybe. That was always in the back of my mind. I wasn't 100% sure, especially once, you know, he's teaching him the code in the second last episode. But yeah, no, that is actually what happened. And I'm like, damn, like, I feel so conflicted because I think it was so well done. And I think it makes a lot of sense, to be honest, like, from a writing perspective. And I don't think this was a bad episode at all. I'm not mad that it happened, but I am a bit bummed, you know? I'm like, oh man, you brought him back, you brought Dexter New Blood back, you brought Dexter back himself just to kill him off at the end of the first season. You could have done so much more. But this proves that New Blood has always just been that band-aid, you know? It's always been that thing just to redeem the Dexter series to begin with, just to fix everybody's problems with the original ending. And that's really what Dexter New Blood has done. It came, it solved some issues, and now it's taken its own exit. And that was really the entire point of its existence. It's just to wrap things up, which I think is a shame a little bit, because I would have loved to see like 10 more fucking seasons of this show, you know, because I love Dexter. But I don't think this was particularly the wrong decision. You know, it didn't jump the shark. It knew what it was doing from the start, and it went for it. It did something bold, killed the character off, the titular character, and I respect it for it. I think this was a really good episode. And now with Dexter lying dead, Angela arrives at the scene of his body as Harrison cries, explaining that he killed Logan, so he had to do it. He had to kill his own dad. And she says she knows and tells him to get out of Dodge, basically leave. She gives him some money and she's like, yep, leave. I won't tell anybody that I saw you. She is completely defending him, and it's just kind of a heartwarming moment because, you know, Harrison is still innocent. You know, he was there when Kurt was taken down by Dexter, but Harrison never killed anybody. He does have those dark tendencies, but I think that he has now been convinced through Dexter to not go down that path. I think he kind of beat the odds with Kurt and with Dexter and the bad influences that they, you know, sprung onto him. And I think that Harrison is going to try to be a good person. At least that's the feeling I get from the final few shots of this series, I suppose, or at least this season. And now as we see him drive away from all the events of the series, leaving Iron Lake behind, we get one final monologue in voiceover narration by Dexter, accepting his fate basically, and hoping the best for his son. And it's just this nice little final moment for Dexter as a character. And just as a fan, it hit me hard, and I think it was really well done. I think this was awesome. By the end, Dexter was killed via the code. Only kill killers and don't get caught. Harrison followed it perfectly. And I think that that kind of brings everything to full circle. Dexter New Blood, at least season 1, at least Dexter Morgan is over. And that's the end for that. That's the end for now. Now, I do have to say one thing though. Apparently come Monday, the showrunners have some big announcement that they're going to say. And I'm guessing this is going to be season 2, focusing on Harrison. I'm guessing. Maybe not though. Maybe it's going to be an NFT or some bullshit. I don't fucking know. But I guess I'm excited. I'd be happy with it just ending here, but I don't know. I guess we'll see. Guess we'll see what they do. But that is the end for Dexter New Blood. And at least season 1, episode 10, that is the end. And I thought, yeah, this was strong. This was strong. I am sad he died. I'm kind of angry, like a little bit, but I'm not angry at the show. You know, I think it was the right choice. I think, you know, Michael C. Hall has been saying he doesn't want to continue. You know, this was just a send-off. That's all this was intended to be, and it did it really well. It was a respectful send-off, and I liked it. That is Dexter New Blood, and I'm done. That's all I have to say for now, so please do the things like, comment, share, subscribe, all that shit. And yeah, thank you for watching all of these previous episodes. It's a bit bittersweet that it's over. I've enjoyed doing these videos. I've also kind of hated it because I'm like, fuck, I have to make another one. It's Sunday again, damn it. But no, it's been great, and yeah. Look out for my future stuff. I'll probably make more Dexter videos in the near future, I assume. Dexter and Saw are kind of my bread and butter, so yeah. Okay, I'm gone. Goodbye.